Hey guys, this is Tim from the Hybrid Network, and welcome to a new episode of Spotlight. This is the show where I present you an interesting question related to comics, and you guys take it from there in the comments. Today's question is probably a comic book versus you were never expecting. I think that we all can agree that while there are some outliers, pretty much all of the Marvel Universe takes place in one central location, New York City, which is completely opposite of what DC does, where each of their heroes, at least their major heroes, pretty much have their own unique city that is just theirs. So the question today is, which of these two is actually better in terms of world building and universe building? What I mean by world building is, how does it help create the environment that the hero interacts with, and in terms of universe building, I mean, how does these particular things affect how the universes work, how the heroes interact, and the implications of that on the Marvel and DC universes as a whole. For example, in terms of world building, one of the positives of the Marvel Universe taking place primarily in New York City is that they have the built-in iconography of New York City to interact with, and that is immediately recognizable to the reader. But one of the downsides is that they're constricted by having to have everything in New York just be things that are actually in New York. They really don't have a lot of room to create new locations for things to happen. You can see one of the downsides of this in the Daredevil Netflix series, where they had to explain that the Chitauri invasion was the reason why Hell's Kitchen is the way that it is back in the Frank Miller comics. Because Hell's Kitchen is a much nicer place now, so they wouldn't be able to do all the crime stuff there if they didn't have a reason for it. And in terms of DC, they have the opposite. One of the positives is that because the cities are fictional, it's much more open, they can create new locations for it and build their own iconography off of that. But one of the downsides is that that freedom can also make it so that the cities aren't as well defined as they could be. You don't know what everything is, and you question how big these cities actually are and how they can fit into this world if new locations keep being added. And in terms of universe building, one of the positives of the Marvel Universe is because all these characters are in one centralized location, it makes a lot of sense when they run into each other in their own stories and interact with one another. But one of the downsides of this is that it can become cluttered, it can give you too much of a reason to bring in crossovers for no reason, because you can justify them no matter what. And when heroes aren't available, it makes a lot less sense since they're all supposed to be in one place, so why isn't said hero interacting here when they could be very useful? And with DC in terms of universe building, because each city is distinct to each particular character, the city itself can become a major supporting character in a hero's story, becoming so ingrained with the hero that without this location it just seems off. But in terms of the universe as a whole, you have to have a lot of justification for why the heroes are interacting with one another since they're so spread out from one another. And it makes you question why they're responding to certain threats at certain times, but not other threats in their own stories that could be viewed as equally as large. And it can sort of make the heroes appear to be egotistical and only really care about their own particular location over others, and won't allow help from outside sources even when they really need it. And there are so many more examples of positives and negatives from both sides, but what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below and discuss it amongst yourselves, and until next time, this has been The Spotlight, and I'm Tim from the Hybrid Network, signing out.